classes, or did things kind of slow down for you a little bit over the summer?
I taught a class in June. We finished the end of April, took May off, and then I taught a European history class in June from 8 till 10 in the morning every day, so it worked great.
Okay. Because I know earlier this year it seemed like the news was on the front to you all the time. It was such an interesting year with politics. We always wanted your comments on Obama-mania in the States and the coalition crisis up here as a political watch, and it was a pretty exciting year for you.
It was an exciting year, but it was a pressured year in all my years of teaching, and I'm going into my 25th year here at the college. It's been the most that media has been asking, which is great. I'd like to thank my parents and the Academy for that. But it was a really busy year for it. So after a while, it was like, okay, let me breathe. And then something would happen. In fact, when they were getting ready at one stage to bring the government down, I was going, oh no, please don't bring the government down, please. I kept hoping the Governor General would allow Harper to stay just so I could have a time out in my political commentary group. So, and I must admit, the summer months, and this is awful to admit, one thing I tend to take time out on is keeping up on a lot of politics. That's my holiday for me, is not have to read the paper every day and read the headlines all the time.
Shut the TV off.
Shut it all off. I only watch sports and rent movies, and then probably mid-August I'll start cranking up to see what I missed in terms of you people asking me for comments. Yeah.
So. Renting movies. I saw in your office that you've got a Twilight poster in
Oh,
there.
love
Are you
it.
a Twilight fan?
I'm a Twilight fan, read all the books, primarily because my students loved it. And when I was teaching the Russian Revolution, I made a comment about Rasputin's eyes being very similar to Vampire and Twilight, and all the girls sort of woke up, all the guys went, oh no, and I thought, there's a hook, the kids like this, so I really got into the Twilight. And Harry Potter, I just saw the movie on Sunday, so I like catching up on all that stuff.
So how do you, I guess when you're talking about finding a hook as a teacher, what do you do to try to engage students in things like history and politics and stuff like that?
Well, the history is my passion. Politics, I'm not really trained in it. I don't have any degrees in it at all. But the history is my passion, especially Canadian history. So I try to talk to the kids about, do you think your life is boring? Now, if some of them do think their life is boring, I say, get a life. Most of them are at that exciting time in their late teens into the 20s, and even in the 30s with the new students coming back. And I say, well, 100 years from now, people are going to study your time period. So we want to go back in time and look at what people did when they were your age, to sort of make it youth-generated and fun-generated for them. I tend to use a lot of video material in my classes, because I found as I've taught, people are more visual and media-oriented. So I try to get them interested in historical films, and then tell them that if I had my career to do over again, I probably wouldn't teach. What I would like to do is be a historical consultant in a film and sort of analyze the accuracy of things. And I know years ago when Clint Eastwood made The Unforgiven and he filmed it out in Brooks, he had a lot of graduate students in history from U of C look at those films and make sure even the buttons on the clothing are done properly. So I'm fascinated by that, and if you can see, watch the movie, let's make it interesting. What do you see, what don't you see in this? You don't wear a Timex watch in World War II and things like that. So to get them excited and interested about it.
Okay. So what's an example of a historical movie that you think is quite close to accurate, and maybe one that's just ridiculous?
Well, Pearl Harbor, the one that Ben Affleck did, was god-awful, I must say, from historical accuracy. And I know all the women in my class loved him and thought, oh, it's a great film. But no, that wasn't well done. One that I've heard is not bad, but I haven't seen, I must admit, is Johnny Depp's one about John Dillinger, the Public Enemies, that's out right now.
Okay.
Now, I'd like to see that one. And they say it's historical accurate about him. But not so much the time period. So that one would be good. In Canadian history, I know everyone talked about Paul Gross's film on Passchendaele. I was disappointed in that one as a historian. I thought it was too much a romantic type, and it didn't really capture the the seriousness of the battlefield, even though they thought it was well done. Of course, Saving Private Ryan was very good on the Normandy battle, and you know, some done well, some done poorly. Usually the ones that are historically accurate don't do very well in the media or with the public because they find them kind of dull.
But obviously, you don't think history is dull and boring. What got you hooked? Did you always like history, or did you have a teacher that inspired you?
It's really interesting. When I was going to school, I was terrible in the sciences and math. And my dad was good in math and science, and he helped me with that side of homework. My mom was really good in history and English. And I spent most of my time with my mom because my dad traveled a lot. So when he was home, he helped me. But my mom was sort of the history and English person and really got me into that type of thing. And when I was going to school, I couldn't decide if I wanted to be a history major or a English major. And I ended up going into history because I found I'm not good at poetry, and for me, sometimes a rose is just a rose, and apparently not. So I went the history route. And then I had an instructor when I was at the University of Calgary. He was an American historian, and my favorite movie growing up was Gone with the Wind. I was in love with Rhett Butler and the Civil War and all that sort of stuff. And I was going to be in American history, and then my instructor died of cirrhosis of the liver, and no, I didn't drive him to drink, but some people thought I did. But when he died, I had to very quickly shift my major, and I went into Canadian history and became passionate about Canadian history and like to get people excited about the nation we're in.
So where did you grow up? Are you from around here? Or?
No, I'm not. I was born in Peterborough a long time ago, and I was brought up in Toronto and Ottawa, and so I spent 5 years in Ottawa during the days of bilingualism and biculturalism, and did all my high school there. That's when I had grade 13.
Right.
And then in 1969, I was scheduled to go to Carleton University to do political science. And I spent a summer in Europe touring with my high school band. And when I came back, my father announced that he had been transferred to Calgary, and that I had spent all my money when I was in Europe, and that I would have to move with my parents to Calgary. So I very quickly applied to go to the University of Calgary and did my bachelor's and my master's degree at UC, and then a PhD up at UA.
Okay.
Yeah.